So what are the big topics? Well, the keys to building green, or to having a green building or an environmentally sensitive building, there are 4 major factors, and all 4 of them are very important. Energy efficient design and construction is the biggest one. And you can't have an energy efficient or an environmentally friendly building without really addressing each of these different issues. They're all critical. Design is the big one, because you have to understand, A, where the building is and its site. For example, if you're trying to get energy from the sun but you're facing north, you got a problem. So you have to think about all kinds of different things like that, and we'll talk about that in more detail. And a building needs to have, you need to keep the conditioned air in and the air that you're not conditioning out. So for example, in the winter, obviously you want to keep warm air in and cold air out. So you need a good thermal barrier, and you need good insulation. Products, there are tons of green products out there. I listed a few different sources of information. There are a lot of different options for green building products. And for a product to be green or energy conscious, there are a few different factors to consider. Rapidly renewable is an interesting one. Everybody heard of bamboo flooring? That's an example of
Bamboo.
It's bamboo. It's an alternative to wood.
Pink panda.
And it looks similar to wood. It's not exactly like wood. It's grass, not wood. But an oak tree, to be mature enough to be used for flooring, takes 30 years or so to grow. And bamboo can regenerate in way, way less time than that. And of course, you got the issues with transporting it from China to here, because it only grows in certain climates. So that's one example of a green product that you might not think about. So you can also reduce, some products reduce the environmental impact, don't emit VOCs, gas, stuff like that. Some products conserve natural resources better than others. Some products use less energy to fabricate. Embodied energy is a topic that we can discuss. That's an important one. Building size is important. The bigger your building, the more energy you're going to use. That's just common sense. A lot of this stuff's common sense. And so the idea is to build, the real idea is to build what you need. Build a building that suits your needs, that is efficient in its design and also in the way it uses energy. And the location is important too, something you don't always think about. Sometimes the site is the site. You own a piece of land and that's the land that you own and that's where you're going to build your building. Sometimes, especially for large, say, shopping complexes, you have to think about the business aspect of it, where you have to get people there. It needs to be close to highways, for example. But a building can be more or less environmentally friendly depending on where it's located. Close to public transportation, close to its resources, like the water that it gets, for example. Those are all factors that make a building environmentally sensitive. And Bill talked about LEED. These are the 6 different categories. The United States Green Building Council, the Green Building Council administers it. And there are a lot of different topics, and a building needs to conform, or not, needs to be sensitive to each of these different issues to really be successful. And the efficient use of the site is probably the most important aspect, at least when you're doing a new building, because you really need to think about how your building relates to its site in terms of, like I mentioned briefly, I mentioned south versus north. Orientation in our climate is very important. The sun is low in the winter, comes mainly from the south. So if you want to take advantage of heat gain from the sun, maximize your southern exposure, minimize your northern exposure. The building envelope is important. The different factors in the building envelope, doors, windows, siding, everything that protects the inside from the outside. And it's very important that your building envelope is efficient and takes advantage of the different opportunities.